We're here, baby.
Lord.
We are here. And we thank the Lord for his presence in our hearts and in our minds this very day. Well, I guess we'll thank the Lord for all he's doing in our hearts, all our souls and minds. Blessed today. And we will now look to the Holy Spirit to guide us through this session. I'm so thankful that you guys have joined us again for another session for this month. And this is the third quarter of our lessons for the year. This is the second lesson that we have for this particular year. And we are dealing with health and finances in marriage. So as we go forth this, we're going to be about 25 to 30 minutes, I would say. And we're going to talk about and teaching the biblical principles of togetherness in this marriage class. And we want to talk about how to handle your money God's way. All right. Well, I'm Dr. Otis Miller. I'm Associate Pastor, Russian Springs Baptist Church. I'm a retired aquatic animal health veterinarian, specializing in aquatic animal medicine. My lovely wife here, Anquinella, is an RN, and she's a diplomat, specializing in ophthalmic surgery. Okay. When you combine our marriage experience together, you're talking about 78 years of marital experience.
Right.
And that's calculated from the 37 years that I was married to Talina Daniel Miller. 3 sons from that marriage, Isaac, Joshua, and Joseph. Hope you guys are listening. Talina's in heaven now, been with the Lord about 9 years, going on 9 years. And I've been married to this wonderful woman for about 5, almost 6 years. And I will let you tell your blessings of how the remainder of the years come together.
Well, my marriage, years, a little bit more than yours. Total 41 years. I'm married twice before you.
Well, there's a 78 right there.
Yeah, 21 years of the 14, and both of these young men are in heaven with the Lord. And now I've been with you almost 6 years. So that gives me my 41 years. And out of my 41 years, I've had 3 children, Garnetta, Francesca, and Gary.
Okay. And you did some single parenting too. How many years was that?
I was 10 years in single parenting.
You cover all the bases.
Cover everyone.
When you put us all together, we can cover more than we could have ever done by ourselves, right?
With the help of the good Lord, anything is possible.
And we're going to share, and have been sharing for the last 3 years, these videos, our lives.
Yes.
And we do it because we feel like the Lord has blessed us and put us together. And he's done such a great job that we want to share with others, because you can really enjoy the journey, right?
We have been.
And enjoy each other. So we expect the couples to be able to use what we have learned, and hopefully it will strengthen your relationship and make you even feel more connected. So our lesson today is based on Luke 16, 10 through 14.
Yes.
This is a foundational verse for me. It got me started in money because of the way the Lord revealed it to me. It goes something like this: if you are faithful in little things, you'll also be faithful in much. But if you're not faithful in or dishonest in little things, you're going to be dishonest with greater responsibility. So that verse grabbed me, but then it goes on. If you're not faithful with other people's things,
yes,
then should you be trusted with things of your own? And you've heard this one a lot. No man can serve 2 masters, for he will hate the one and love the other.
That's so true.
You cannot be that way, because you're going to be devoted to one and despise the other. And then this kicker verse: you cannot serve God and also be enslaved to money. So I think King James used mammoth. Cannot serve God and mammoth. When Jesus said this, though, the Pharisees was listening, and it says in verse 14, the Pharisees, who dearly loved their money, heard all this and scoffed at Jesus. So they didn't like what they were hearing at all, because of the fact that when he was talking about the love of money, he was actually hitting them because they did. Well, we don't want to love money, but we definitely need it in our lives to function and use it. But it's a way we can use it God's way. And that's what we want to talk about today. But we want to just kind of before we get into the resources about it, I want to talk to you a little bit about if you don't have a plan and how it can impact your family. I'm gonna let you just bring them up to date on that, okay?
Sure. If you don't have a plan, as he just said, it can negatively affect your family in many ways. It can affect your children.
Yeah,
It can affect the stability of your home life.
definitely.
You know, kids are involved in this and they are very observant. So you should make that child feel for any
Yeah,
reason
they don't
that
miss
your
anything.
financial burden is related to them.
Mhm.
And then there should be a way that you manage your money that everything is equal. There's no favoritism among kids to bring disharmony in your family.
Mhm.
And you definitely don't want it to pair, even if it's a blended family. That's
Yeah.
very strong in a
Yeah,
blended
definitely
family.
in the
Don't
family.
do more for one than the other, and never make your kids feel like they're in competition with each other.
Oh, that's true.
So you want a stable home life, and in doing that, you just have to divide things equally and prayerfully.
I was in a Dollar Tree one day. There was a young mother there. She had 3 boys. They were young boys. They were probably about knee high to me. I say they probably maybe 4 years old, you know, or less. And she was just a customer. Can't get this, can't get that. And it wasn't in a low tone either. So much so I started praying for them, and it was really disheartening.
I'm
You
sure
know,
it was.
And I can imagine more so for the kids, you know, and sometimes in our situations with financial pressure, we say things and do things that we normally wouldn't have done. If she had a pocket full of money,
Right.
walking through that, she wouldn't have said any of those things like that.
And those kids don't understand.
And they don't know that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, they don't understand that.
And you can actually scar them and make them think they're not important or not valuable or a whole kind of things, the way they think in their young mind. It's just kind of amazing what they might think what you're saying, you know.
That goes back to you. If you're going to go to a place like that and you're going to take your kids, and the kids' first inclination is going to be look at something they want and ask for
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
So if you can't afford it, and if you can't afford it, don't put them in those situations because it is hard to say to your child no. As a mother and having to do that many times.
Yeah.
In your heart, you want to do it, but it's all about how you're going to survive.
Yeah, because you want to do things God's way, and cussing them out.
That is not God's way.
But sometimes we need to look at the values of why we do things, and we're going to show you some things on the slide in a minute here to try to put things in perspective. But let's give you some resources I think it might be helpful. So we're going to look at some things that we have used that we have thought was beneficial for us. We've actually done these things, and so we're recommending them to you. And so I'm going to let you see us. Let us get involved in the end. Hey, there we are. Okay. This book was very helpful to me. It's the book that's by Larry Burkett. He is no longer with us now, but he left us a wealth of information that I found very valuable. And the How to Manage Your Money workbook is great. And then the financial workbook goes into the forms and all the things you need. So we're recommending this to you as a resource. In addition to that, we have used these 2 books for blended families.
Yes.
And they have excellent information in here that will really help you. So we like to give you resources as well. So you can go through this at your own speed and get the information and write it down and so forth. But this will be, I think, an excellent opportunity to enhance your library. Well, some of the problems that we actually have about money is how we view it, right?
Yes.
So one of those books that we just spoke about, we're taking it from this, and it's asked you about the various ways of how you can view yourself with money as a status, situation, security, enjoyment, and control. And let you read that last statement because we want to amplify that a little bit.
If a couple have incompatible attitudes and values about money, purchases are more likely to cause conflict between them.
I had her to read it because I was a conflict causer in my first marriage about money, credit cards specifically, and how I spent.
We've all done that one.
I'd come home without even talking about anything as far as what I'm getting ready to do with a new car. And oftentimes that, I don't know, crazy as it sounds, but there was not money for that car. And
that's not a good thing.
But the interest and so forth was enjoyment and status, and it caused problems, obviously, right? So there's a test that you can take in one of these books that will help you resolve it. And I'm going to just mention that to that part. But what we want you to do is to choose an action plan. And we're going to give you some ideas and things about this. We're going to introduce so many things that just want you to take one. And I just mentioned credit cards, but we want to just take one. Impulse buying. But you guys brainstorm, you know, so you can see where you're coming from about how you value money. Particularly like if somebody didn't have it, and now that they do, the attitude is going to be totally different from somebody that always did have it. You know,
you need to ask yourself, is this something that I have to have right now?
Right.
Rather than planning for it, you know, that impulse buying you're talking about.
Yep.
Do you really need it? And can it wait? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself before you go out and make these major purchases.
True. When I was going through these very books I'm telling you about, one of the lessons was impulse buying. Had a chart. Write down the things you just saw and you just had to have them, and then you had to wait 30 days. To my amazement, though, the thing I thought I needed to have and the price that I thought was a great price, 30 days later, it was lower. Or either the impulse was gone.
Well, the cooler head prevails.
Cooler head prevails. Well, decide what each of you will do to make it work. And we and I will share little things about us. We made an agreement that if anybody going to spend over $200, right?
Yes. We're
going to check with each other before we spend it.
Right.
And that's invaluable as well. It's not that you henpeck, but it's just that you want to have a good relationship.
And there may be other things out there that your mate may see the same need that you do, but your desire is not always the same.
Exactly.
So, you know, sometimes, you know, women are better bargain shoppers, I think, than most men. And they may say, hey, wait, I saw this somewhere else. Because, I mean, that's what we do.
So, you've done a wonderful job. She's a great shopper.
I am a bargain shopper.
This is the page I was talking about. It was taken from one of those books. This is how this works. I just took number 1. And it just says, I look up to those people who've been very successful financially. Well, do you agree with that? If it is strongly disagree 1, you disagree 2, undecided 3, 4 agree. You may or may not be able to see 5. I see us there, but 5 is that you strongly agree. And so you answer that for the first 4 questions and put that score. If it's 5, you put that 5 there. And then for the first 4, let's say it was all 5s. Well, that's a 20. Well, you are very high in this interpretation. And this person right here is value status. If you got all 5s, and so you go through each one of these as it shows. It explains it here, gives the explanation. And then you both can see, oh, I didn't know that, you know, your spouse may already know this, but now you know it. And so you got something where you can work from.
Well, it gives you an opportunity to evaluate yourself, you know.
Now, this one, you may already be married. It's still good to do, but we highly recommend this in premarital counseling, that this is done before marriage, so that you know what you're getting into financially, because you're not only marrying that person, you're marrying that person's debts.
Yes.
And examples that I've had where people have gotten married and they know the income that's supposed to be coming in, they know that, but they never understood why that amount didn't ever come in when it finally came.
Right.
Later to find out there was 3 alimony payments being taken out of that, that
Right.
the spouse didn't even know that. So you would take your expenses, what the amount is and what the monthly payments are, and then you show what your total amount that you owe. She would do the same thing for whatever debt that you have. And at least now you walk into a situation where you're not blind.
Right.
And that's something you need to know, because unfortunately, when we have divorce, 50% of those relationships break down because they're related to finances. And you want to make sure that it's, you know, you're not arguing about things that you shouldn't be arguing about because you didn't plan about it.
Right.
Right.
And nobody, you know, really, no spouse will want to feel like they're that person that's giving the most to the relationship, or to sustain the household. So if I'm making X amount of dollars,
Definitely.
and you're making probably equal or more, but you're seeing more of your money going out and more of my money going in to sustain the household. So you definitely want to see the ins and the outs of the marriage.
She'll say something that stimulates me. Could I say something to your
Sure.
point?
Sure.
Another situation where blended family, and one of the spouses was sending money to the family members, not immediate family members, but family members,
family,
and substantial amounts. So much so that the person wanted the other spouse to pay the mortgage and utilities, and like, well, where's your funds going? And didn't want that person to know that he was still supporting his family as he was before he got married. So it's things like, you know, you need to put everything on the table.
That's definitely not gonna go over very easily.
Yeah, you shouldn't be arguing about things like that. It's always best. I mean, it may be some tension initially, but it's better to put it on the table.
Right. And that way you can plan for it, you know.
And then you got to find out, okay, with the money, how it's coming in, you know, how are you going to work it? And there's at least 3 systems mentioned in the books that we showed you, particularly the blended family book. And we now recommend and agree, if you're marrying for the first time, then it ought to be one bucket, you know, one checkbook, you know, everything's together. But, you know, that 75% of people do that. That means there's another 25 don't necessarily think that way. So there's another option where you have just 2 buckets, his and hers. We don't particularly like that one at all, but it may work for you. But one that works, we found, for most blended families is the 3-bucket system. There's a his and hers account, but there's a shared account where all the expenditures are paid from. So both of y'all have some funds that you can use at your discretion, as long as they're not over $200. And then you got funds that's going to take care of the expenses that you're doing together. So the key, though, is, you know, really, it's the agreement, not necessarily the system. You may have something that don't even fit these 3, but it works for you guys, and it doesn't cause stress. It doesn't produce arguments. So that's really what you want. But
you don't have the feeling of inequality.
Yeah.
And you feel like both of you are doing equal amounts to sustain the family's well-being. And you're not just throwing away money. You know, some people think, well, you know, if I can't track his money, he may be spending it elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Or her. Yeah. So honesty, as you already said, you know, find out. And definitely you have to lay out what your expenditures are. Exactly. You know, you can't say, well, I'm going to add $200 a month to the bucket and your bills are $500, right. You know. So you got to establish the amount that's needed so that you don't have this argument about inequality.
Now, we're not talking about as many things as we would like to in a time basis, because we already have.
Yeah.
So here's our list to help you, and this is your work book here, or this is your homework, so to speak, at your own leisure. And we'll just walk you through what we have provided as resources and videos. Just like we're making one now, we've made some for various aspects. But the main page you go to is the one at the top. We have the YouTube that says how to have a good marriage. And that's a session on that. And that's where all the videos are, right? And then across from that is Enjoying Your Journey. This is on Facebook. And it also has additional things, not only the videos, but just the subjects, stuff that, you know, that I think you'll find it'd be helpful, like
Variety of
all
talks,
types of talks.
yeah, different talks.
And just thumb through that. I think you'll think that, oh, okay, I wish I had known this ahead of time, but that's a good resource that I encourage you. Now, this is a private Facebook group, so you had to join it by answering 2 questions, which are very simple. How long you have been married, and then, of course, what you want to get out of the, for your marriage while you're listening to it. But specifically, down to my left at the bottom, we did a financial tune-up, which is an hour long, goes into a lot of details, got the forms that we're talking about. So when you're ready, that's the one that we are saying you should go to, that augments this class that we're talking about right now.
And I might say something, when you do go to that, make sure that there's nothing else on your plate that you need to do, because it's going to take a little thought.
Yeah.
So you want to take these points in rather than just, be distracted with other things. Make sure you're focused in on what you're trying to get from this course.
Absolutely. And then, of course, as we kind of alluded to, what you want to do, divorce-proof your marriage. And that's what this one to the far right bottom deals with, things that you can do so that you won't have this problem of, having a divorce or thinking about getting one because of, money-related situations.
And that's usually the most, the reason that most people do get divorced is all centered around money in some way, whether it's lack of giving or giving too much, or people are not living up to their end of the bargain. All of that gets old.
Yes, one example, I think this will be the last one that we'll share, is the husband was taking very good care of the wife. She didn't have to want for anything, but she didn't know anything about the funds. And it wasn't that she wanted to have the funds, but it was the fact that she didn't know anything about it. She didn't feel connected, didn't feel close. Right. She just felt like, well, you're just paying a bill, And so she lacked that camaraderie, that fellowship, what you really look for in a relationship. So just because you're going to work, providing for the family, but not meeting the emotional needs and psychological needs, that may not be great, even though you may have the best of the best. So it's more to it than money. And there's even a video about that too.
That one thing about it, the Bible talks about the love of money, which we know that's the devil's work. So you definitely don't want him to get into your marriage in any way. And this is one good way that he will usually try to break up a marriage or a family. All
right. So we would like for you to pray this prayer with us as you get ready to embark in these assignments that you've been given. I think life-changing assignments. Would you pray this with us? Father, I surrender all of me to you right now. I put you first from now on and choose to find my life, my happiness in Jesus alone. Fill me with your Son, Jesus, in such a powerful way that I may handle my finances in the way you created me to do. In the power and the character of the name of Jesus, I pray, amen. Well, let's talk about next month. What we're going to have next month is we're going to talk about the health part. We talked about the finance piece. We'll talk about the health part. So, yeah, your body belongs to me.
As they say.
And are you taking good care of it? My body?
Doing my best.
So we want to delve into those items, but until we meet again, this is Otis and Equinetta saying, we are enjoying the journey. God bless you, and we thank God for you, and we look forward to seeing you next month. All right, so blessings to you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.